end up being weak. When you neglect prayer, you end up being weak. Not just that, you will end up being defeated. But ultimately, when you neglect your breath, for example, you end up a spiritually dead person. Yes, you end up a spiritually dead person. Once a Christian neglects the place of prayer, he will end up a spiritually dead man. It was Martin Luther King Jr. that says to be a Christian without prayer is no more possible than to be alive without breathing. Martin Luther King Jr. He said to be a Christian without prayer is no more possible than to be alive without breathing. In other words, to be alive without breath, it is tantamount, just equate it to being a Christian without a life of prayer. So you call yourself, I call myself a Christian, and no prayer in the midst, no prayer as a lifeline. It is either you start from being weak, after that you arrive at a place of perpetual defeat, and after defeat you are spiritually dead. No wonder I like you to understand from Luke chapter 22 and verse 40. Jesus said, pray so that you enter not into temptation. In other words, a prayerless life is a life that is characterized by endless challenges. Jesus says, and when he was at the place, he said unto them, pray so that you don't enter into temptation. So it means a prayerless man, a prayerless life, a prayerless family, a prayerless church is a church that is characterized by diverse challenges. A prayerless entity is an entity characterized by endless challenges. As you go from one battle, you enter into another battle. I'm talking about battles sponsored from the pit of air. I'm talking about challenges sponsored by territorial powers and territorial forces. Yes, pray that you enter not into temptation. So there are kinds of prayer that you must pray according to Luke 11 and verse 4, where I just showed you. There are kinds of prayer you pray that put a hold on demonic temptation. And when you pray in this manner, he said, lead us not into temptation. So Jesus himself said, pray that he enter not into temptation. So a prayerless Christian, your life is a prayerless type, that automatically your life will be characterized by endless challenges. Your life will be characterized by endless troubles. As you come out of one trouble, you enter into another trouble. As you come out of one trouble, you are into another trouble, because check your prayer altar, probably is empty. Demonic flies are perching on your prayer altar. Child of God, prayer is our lifeline. Prayer is not just important, it is the lifeline of the believer. It is not just important. So when you say prayer is important, no, that's for babies. Prayer is not only important, prayer is your lifeline. Prayer is your breath. Prayer is what you breathe in and breathe out every day. In in Luke chapter 11 and verse 1, I told you, John taught his disciples how to pray. Jesus also taught his disciples how to pray. Child of God, C.S. Spurgeon, that's Charles Spurgeon says, it was Charles Spurgeon that says, the art of prayer is the prayer of the heart. The art, H-E-A-R-T, the art of prayer is the prayer of the heart. That's a quote by Charles Spurgeon. The art of prayer is the prayer of the heart. Prayer is the system by which we develop intimacy with God. Prayer is the system, or is the system by which we develop intimacy, by which we develop closeness, which we develop friendship. Prayer is the process by which we develop intimacy with God. Yes, and by this you should understand that where we are going now is not about material things. That's for babies. Child of God, we have to graduate from the place where we pray for our needs. We cannot relegate prayer prayer only to the place where our needs are met. That's for kids, that's for babies. We cannot relegate a whole prayer system to the place where our needs are only met. No, that's for babies. Prayer is more than making personal requests, personal selfish requests to God. Yes, so we cannot relegate prayer to the place of making supplication and request alone. Pray until the spirit man aligns with the spirit of God. You pray until your spirit man aligns to the spirit of God. That is intimacy in the place of prayer. The life of a Christian is not lived out of the mind but out of the spirit. The life of every Christian is not lived out of the mind but it is lived out of the spirit. Pray, not about just what meets. That's for babies, that's for toddlers. Father, give me car. Father, give me land. Father, give me air. Father, give me promotion. Father, give me house. Father, give me. That's the basics, that's the roots, that's the foundation, and that's for babies. Can I tell you something? That is why a lot of us are always discouraged, because we are so used to praying for needs, material needs, personal, selfish needs in quotes. And so sometimes you just get excited, you want to pray. Probably when you trust God for a particular thing and God meets that need, then you aspire to pray some more. You want to do some more prayers. You want to get out of the shell to pray more. But you discover that after a while, when certain expectations are not met, you get discouraged. That is because over the years and over the time, peradventure, you have built your prayer life around myself needs, material needs. So you must understand that that is not what we are talking about, and that's not even the heartbeat of God. That's for babies. Asking God for shoe, asking God for house rent, asking God to pass exam, asking God to grant you visa, asking God to give you documents, asking God to give you husband. They are all good. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but that's the rudiment. That's not what God is talking about. That's not what touches the heart of God. What God is looking for are men and women who we have a close affinity, close intimacy, who we have koinonia, intercourse with daily basis, beyond what you will eat, beyond what will be on the table tonight, beyond what you will eat tomorrow morning, beyond money for transportation, beyond money for house rent. We're talking about intimacy in the place of God, and that's why you must understand our access to God alone is a privilege. That you and I have access to God, to talk to God at any time, not utilizing this opportunity will tantamount to the fact that you are abusing privilege. What a great privilege that God has bestowed on you and I, mortal, that every other creature doesn't have except man. The privilege to pray is a very big privilege. That any time, any point in time, in the night, in the day, in the past, you are driving, you are walking, you are whatever it is that you are doing, He has so much given us that privilege, that opportunity to call upon Him at any time, to talk to Him at any time, to fellowship with Him at any time. That opportunity they didn't have in the Old Testament. It's a privilege. That opportunity, this one we are enjoying now, that you and I never cease, because until you begin to see prayer as a privilege, you will not be able to pray. But the moment your eyes are open, the shell falls off your eyes, and you see prayer as a privilege, from that moment, you will not find yourself under pressure to pray again. Because in the Old Testament, there was nothing like of such. No such a privilege. It is only the high priest or the chief priest and the priests. You can only table your matter before them. They are the ones that will enter into the holies and holies of holies. Then they tell you what to do. But in the New Testament, hush, what a privilege. Any day, any second, any time, any hour, in the day, in the night, midnight, in the baths, in the loo, anywhere, in the lungu, in the jungle, in the church, you are driving, you are akapandwa, you can even pray in your sleep. Look at such a privilege, yet most of us are still prayerless. And the reason we are prayerless is this, like I said, this because we have centered all our requests around material things. Are you following tonight? And there's no how you will not continue entering into frustration. That is one avenue the devil is using to cheat the believer. Because check your prayer request now. Check your prayer content. It is, Father, I want to marry this year. Father, I want a job. Father, change my wardrobe. Father, check all those kind of prayer requests. That's for toddlers, spiritual toddlers. And that's not what God is talking about. Such a great privilege that you can talk to him, you can feel him, you can access him at any time, unlike the Old Testament. And do you know that in this dispensation, the privilege that we have, the access we have, the grace that has been bestowed on you and I is so much more that privilege cuts across God knowing what you feel at the moment. That's the privilege you have. We have that privilege because Jesus, in like passion, in like form, experienced all that you have experienced and all that you are experiencing now. That's the privilege. So as you're sitting now, you're having migraine. Jesus once had migraine. As you're looking at me now, they are refusing to pay your money. There was a time they didn't pay Jesus his money too. Am I talking to you here? As you're looking at me now, maybe there is discharge, blood flowing around your body, and you're just saying, God, in this service, this thing must cease. It has already ceased because there was a time Jesus too had charges, discharges. That blood was coming out of his body. You are watching now, under the sound of my voice, fear is just all around you. There was a time Jesus too was afraid. Am I talking now? That is the privilege that you have. The privilege to tell him how you feel. Don't forget, furnace of favor. This is the ultimate. The privilege to him, to Jesus, that whatever it is you are going through now, whatever it is that you've been through, whatever it is that will still be through, it won't pass through that road. Is it not a privilege? Now you have this stomach ache now as I'm talking. There was a time he had stomach ache. Hebrews chapter 4, verse 14 to 16. Because the way they are looking at me. Hebrews 4, 14. Seeing then that we have great high priests that is past in Jesus, the Son of God, let us hold fast our profession, prayer. For we are not an high priest. God over there. You are not an high priest which cannot be touched with the feelings of your infirmity. You understand what that means? That's what I just explained. You don't have a father. You don't have a God. The Jesus we have is not a Jesus that doesn't understand what you are going through. You know, if I walk up to you now and say, sir, how's everything? Say, pastor, you get as I say, don't worry, everything will fine. Say, you know, most of the time, especially ladies, what you hear them say, you cannot understand. You know, that's their slang. It's very common among them. You won't understand. Am I communicating? Beautiful ladies. You often hear them, you will not understand.